Are you here for the LeftValues quiz? Great. Okay. Um, have you done this before? Anything like this before? No? Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what this is before we get started, and a little bit about what kind of parameters the test looks for, and from there we will dive right into it. So what I have here is the LeftValues quiz. It is a leftist quiz inspired by and based upon the 8 values quiz that seeks to identify your position on the left-wing spectrum. If you're not a leftist, this quiz is obviously not suited for you. You'll be presented with a statement, and then you'll answer with your opinion on the statement, from strongly agree to strongly disagree, with each answer slightly affecting your scores. The questions for each axis are presented in order rather than scattered. At the end of the quiz, your answer will be compared to the maximum possible for each value, thus giving you a percentage. Be sure to answer honestly. There are 72 questions in this test. Alright, so before we dive into that, let's look at what are the values that this seeks to measure. There are currently 7 different axes, each of which has 2 opposing values. They are revolution versus reform. Those with a higher revolution score tend to support a radical and rapid overthrow of the capitalist system through a mass uprising. Those with a higher reform score tend to favor inducing gradual changes within capitalist structures, such as liberal democracy, with the eventual goal of reaching socialism. It measures scientific versus utopian. Those with a higher scientific score tend to support or sympathize with the Marxist analysis of society along the lines of dialectical materialism. And those with a higher utopian score tend to believe in more idealistic analysis of society and reject materialist approaches. We will also be looking at the central versus decentral axis. Those with a higher central score tend to support an economic structure based around centralized national planning, and those with a higher decentral score tend to support an economic structure based around decentralized planning, usually on a more localized scale. And that's going to be kind of more of a anarchist versus maybe a Marxist-Leninist swing and things like that. It also measures international versus national. Those with a higher international score tend to support forming an international socialist movement, often with the eventual goal of abolishing nations. Those with a higher national score tend to prioritize building socialism within existing borders and reject the goal of a world socialist republic. Party versus union. Those with a higher party score tend to favor using political parties as the basis of a social movement. Those with a higher union score tend to favor using trade unions and other forms of mass organization as a basis of a socialist movement. Being pro-party does not necessarily mean you oppose unions, and vice versa. It's more about preference. Production versus nature. Those with a higher production score tend to prioritize industrial output and self-sustainability over ecological goals, and those with a higher nature score tend to support an environmentally oriented economy with strict ecological protections. Okay. And our last one here is going to be conservative versus progressive. Those with a higher conservative score tend to favor more socially conservative policies, and views, and those with a higher progressive score tend to support more socially progressive policies and views. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Now you understand all of the different values this goes to measure, And let's dive right in, shall we? Okay. Great. Moving forward. Question 1. I'm going to take a couple notes, if that's all right. Now, question 1 is, experimental, environmentally friendly food sources like cultured meat are worth investing in. Do you strongly agree? Are you neutral or unsure? Or disagree? Or strongly disagree? Okay. Great. Question 2. The means of production, such as factories and farms, must be publicly owned. Okay, great. Just take a little note about that. Okay. Question 3. It is possible to peacefully convince the ruling class to conform to a socialist society. Okay. Doing great so far. Question 4. The establishment of socialism is a gradual process rather than an instant or rapid one. Okay. All right. Okay. Question 5. Capitalism will induce its own demise through contradictions that result in crisis. Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Question 6. Mass spontaneous actions are more effective than carefully planned actions. Okay. I think that's what I'd answer to, personally. Question 7. Trade unionism has been largely corrupted by the ruling class and is no longer a viable structure for a socialist organization. Okay. All right. Question 8. Revolutionary violence is acceptable as long as the final outcome is positive. Okay. Alrighty. Question 9. The negative consequences of a revolution generally outweigh the advantages. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting perspective. I hadn't really thought of it that way. Question 10. The oppression of LGBTQ plus people is a major issue that needs to be seriously addressed. Right, yeah. I agree. All right. Question 11. Class conflict is a force that has influenced much of human history. Okay. Great. and social equality is realistically possible to achieve. Okay. Question 13. The state can be best defined as a monopoly on violence and oppression. Okay. That was a quick one. Question 14. Foreign officials have no right to dictate policy in another country. Yeah. Okay. We seem to get that answer a lot. Question 15. We must accept that the socialist states of the 20th century failed to seriously address environmental issues. Okay, great. Question 16. A world socialist republic is a realistic and desirable goal. What do you think? Yeah, sure. Question 17. Some small-scale destruction of nature is acceptable if it notably benefits humanity. Okay. Sure. Why not? Question 18. Reforming capitalist society to achieve better rights for workers is desirable. Okay. Okay. Question 19. Only a mass workers' party can achieve any meaningful long-term goals. Alright, question 20. We're getting there. See, this is going quick already, isn't it? We're already at 20 out of 72. Humanity must return to the primitive ways of the past to overcome long-term climate issues. Okay. Yeah. Question 21. Democratic centralism is an authoritarian organizational structure that disregards the masses. I know, that one you might not find quite as straightforward. Okay. Yeah, great. No, you're doing great. Question 22. Policies that enable mass immigration are naive and should not be implemented. Yeah, okay. Question 23. Traditional gender roles, such as women being homemakers, needs to be overcome. Okay. Great. Question 24. Socialist political parties should participate in liberal democratic elections. Again, socialist political parties should participate in liberal democratic elections. Question 25. Revolution is the best way of achieving a socialist society. Okay. 26. Oppressed peoples have the right to engage in a violent uprising when all other options have been exhausted. Yeah. I know this one seems to be kind of a hot topic at the moment. Yeah, okay. Okay. Great. Question 27. The principles of workplace democracy and self-management are desirable. Do you strongly agree? Agree? Are you unsure? Do you disagree? Do you strongly disagree? Okay. Moving forward. Question 28. Climate change is a major global threat that all socialists must fiercely combat. Great. Question 29. Workplace democracy within capitalism is an acceptable alternative to a complete socialization of the economy. Okay. Redistributing wealth away from the wealthy through taxes is a viable way of defeating inequality. Okay. Perfect. 31. Question 31. Question 31. We're on question 31 now. Can you believe it? We're cruising. We're flying. Alright. Liberal democracy is a viable way of achieving a socialist society. Okay. 32. Religions overall have a mostly positive effect and should remain influential in society. Okay. 33. The leadership of political parties in the progression towards socialism will always lead to authoritarianism. Yeah, okay. Question 34. A socialist revolution is made inevitable by the conditions of capitalism. Okay, great. 35. People of similar cultures should unite in federations or confederations. Okay. Material conditions and needs are the dominant drive behind socioeconomic changes. That's question 36. For those who want to keep track. Okay. A socialist government has no right to disrupt religious or cultural traditions in any situation. That's question 37. Okay. Question 38. Measures to address environmental issues are unacceptable if they result in significant decreases in production and quality of life. Okay. Okay, great. 39. Socialist organizations are generally better off when organized loosely and decentrally. Okay. Question 40. The government should be capable of assigning individuals to workplaces. Okay. If you're not sure, that's alright too. Question 41. The fact that so many workers vote for bourgeois parties over socialist parties is proof that party politics are no longer relevant. Okay. 42. I would be willing to sacrifice economic resources in my home country in order to help other countries. Would you? Okay. I think most people would agree. Some people, maybe not though. Question 43. Quote, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs, is a good principle. Okay. Okay. 44. You cannot achieve a socialist society without also making significant social progress. Yeah. You need that one again? Okay. You cannot achieve a socialist society without also making significant social progress. Yeah. Okay. 45. Open borders between like-minded socialist countries is desirable. Hmm? Okay. Great. 46. Marriage is a patriarchal social construct that should be phased out. Mm-hmm. Okay. The international proletariat belongs to no country. Question 47. The international proletariat belongs to no country. How do you feel about that one? How's that strike you? Okay. 48. Local planners, rather than national planners, are more efficient at running a planned economy. Okay. Great. Question 49. Nationalism and patriotism are impulses that are unacceptable in a socialist society. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can put that. And we understand, not necessarily regarding that question, but with all questions, that you might feel a little more nuance than the options allow for. That's alright. Just pick what you feel is closest to how you feel. We're wrapping things up with question 50 out of 72. We're getting close. I know, everybody wants the results. They're all so eager. Question 50. A centrally planned economy based around computers is a concept worth investigating. A centrally planned economy based around computers is a concept worth investigating. Okay, great. 51. Minority populations should receive special legal protections. Okay. Sure. 52. Modern social democracy is a betrayal of left-wing values. Okay. Question 53. It will be important to implement extensive environmental protections as part of achieving socialism. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. 54. National liberation or self-determination for all peoples is a good concept. Need that one again? Okay. National liberation or self-determination for all peoples is a good concept. Yeah. Okay. 55. It is necessary to establish a dictatorship of the proletariat as a transitionary stage between capitalism and socialism. Okay. 56. Abortion is an immoral act that should be banned or significantly limited. Okay, yeah. I'm glad we can agree that that's not true. Question 57 of 72. Personal motor vehicles, such as cars, should be replaced with free public transport. Yeah. Alright, 58. Industrialized farming practices must be abolished, even if it leads to lower outputs. Industrialized farming practices must be abolished, even if it leads to lower outputs. Mm-hmm. Okay. 59. Any socialist country should be dedicated to exporting their ideology abroad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think it's fine if you gotta think on it a second. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Question 60. An economy is generally designed better when it is organized bottom up rather than top down. Okay. A highly centralized planned economy is not socialism, but rather state capitalism. Question 61. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. 62. We must radically alter our food consumption in order to limit the exploitation of nature. Yeah. Okay. Great. It is foolish to expect renewable energy sources to be able to replace fossil fuels. Is that foolish? To expect renewable energy sources to be able to replace fossil fuels. Okay. 64. Socialism can only be fully achieved in developed, industrialized societies. Okay, great. Human population growth must be curbed to prevent an ecological disaster. Gotcha. In underdeveloped societies, a centrally planned economy is the best way to make rapid progress. That's question 66. You don't know. Oh, you don't know. Question 67. Prisons are oppressive and antiquated institutions that need to be abolished. Great. 68 last questions. The global socialist movement should be led by a single party or organization. Gotcha. Okay. It is acceptable for humanity to suffer to some notable extent in order to preserve the natural ecosystem. That's question 69. Nice. I can read that again, sure. It is acceptable for humanity to suffer to some notable extent in order to preserve the natural ecosystem. Okay. Question 70. Bureaucracy and inefficiency are always inherent in centrally planned economies. Okay. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'll put that. Alright, last two questions. 71. Society is chiefly driven by individuals and ideas. Okay, yeah. Sweet. Last question. Trade unions and workers' councils should form the basis of a socialist society. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about that one? How do we feel about that one? Do we strongly agree? Do we agree? Do we disagree? Do we strongly disagree? Okay. Gotcha. Alright. Alright. Perfect. Alright. I'm just gonna compile these notes together for just a moment while this comes up with our results. Did you have a nice weekend? Yeah. Yeah, I had to work this weekend too. That's okay. Sometimes there's stuff that you just have to do on the weekends. You just can't wait. Mm. Okay. A couple kind of exit questions. How did you hear about our LeftValues administrators? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, great. At least the advertising's working. Nice to know the money's not wasted. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Alright. That's gonna do it for our notes. And let's look at your results. So it looks like you've been placed in the centrist Marxism category. Centrist Marxism is a form of Marxism that adopts Marxist views on society and the economy, while also refraining from taking a definitive position on revolution and reformism. Many centrist Marxists may also be more nationalist So it looks like you scored about 60% reform, and you scored about 70% in the scientific category. We've got you a split almost 50-50 down the middle between central and decentralization. 48% central and 51.7% decentral. Very close there between the two. This says that you are very internationalist, which we like to see. Personally, not a huge fan of nationalism, although there are some uses for certain strains of nationalism, especially national liberation and things of that nature. But I'm no expert on that. I'm just an administrator of LeftValues quizzes. Let's see here. You're about 57% towards union over party. You prefer the more workplace organized structure. And it seems as though you've landed neutral on the nature over production scale. A little bit more skewed towards nature with 59%. Okay. But still somewhat in the middle. And you've also, for our final category, skewed very progressive. We like to see that. You're 76% progressive in this. The very high numbers was good. We like to see it. Your next closest match, the next two closest are probably going to be either orthodox Marxism, right, or democratic socialism. I know, a little bit of a wide range there, but that's okay. Okay? Great. Well, I hope you found this helpful. I hope this helped you get a better understanding of where you sit with things. You can always come back at a later time for another administrated test. People's opinions often change as they learn more, as they experience more, and we're definitely not immune to that. So come back anytime. I'd be happy to give you another test. And I guess for now, just have a great rest of your day. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, no, thank you.